The Guildhall Lar. This small bronze sculpture of a youth stepping forward with one arm raised is believed to be a lar, an object of everyday Roman life, nearly 2,000 years old. It was found in 1888 in Frinsbury, which lies on the opposite side of the River Medway to Rochester, and is normally displayed at the Guildhall Museum in Rochester, mounted on a small plinth. Lares were household gods, presumably so familiar to the Romans that they are little discussed in their literature. The figurines were believed to observe, protect, and influence all that happened within the home. The small domestic shrine in which they were kept was known as a lararium and could be a simple wooden cupboard or an elaborately decorated wall niche. The lararium was often near the fireplace, and lares were associated with Vesta, the god of fire, home, and family, as well as with ancestors. Lar figures are not often found on archaeological sites in the UK, perhaps because a family moving home would have taken their household gods with them. The Latin phrase lares and penates was popularised by Horace Walpole in the 18th century to mean simply possessions, but this sculpture of a lar is far more intriguing than that phrase suggests. The sculpture is 13 centimetres tall and is made of solid bronze. The figure has full rounded cheeks and sturdy legs, suggesting a pre-adolescent youth. He's naked apart from a length of cloth that loops across his lower torso. He stands on his right foot, his left leg slightly lifted behind as if taking a step forward or dancing, his head turned towards his raised right hand. The left foot is missing, with the leg ending in a rounded stump. The foot may have been lost or perhaps the result of a fault in the original casting process. The lar's right arm is raised above shoulder height, the forearm vertical and the hand open with the palm towards us as if in greeting. Traces of iron were found on the palm of the right hand, suggesting that an object may have been attached there, as in the case of a statuette of the same size found in Colchester in 1848, which holds a bunch of grapes in the right hand. This led to the previous identification of the figurine with the god Bacchus. Lar figures found elsewhere often hold out a shallow dish for offerings in one hand, with a cornucopia or horn of plenty filled with fruit and flowers tucked into the crook of the other arm. Slightly smaller drinking horns are raised by two dancing lares depicted on a fresco in Pompeii. The left arm of the Rochester lar is bent at the elbow and held a little out from the body at about waist height. The hand is rather large in proportion to the rest of the figure, with carefully modelled fingers, and there is a gap between fingers and thumb. This could have been designed to hold a separately made object, such as a staff or shepherd's crook or a small basket. A narrow length of cloth is gracefully draped around the young man's body, secured in place over his elbows. The fabric loops down at both front and back to conceal the groin and skim the buttocks. The loose end of the cloth hangs down over his right forearm to about the level of the waist. The folds of the fabric curl forward, suggesting the movement of his body. The face of the figure is rounded, with full, almost cherub-like cheeks and a short upturned nose. Small indentations in the bronze suggest the eyes and a slightly open mouth that seems, depending on the angle from which it's viewed, to be smiling. Large bobble-like curls frame his face and wave down to cover the back of the neck. Over these, he appears to wear a distinctive soft hat known as a Phrygian cap. It covers the crown of his head and flops forward in a large bobble above the forehead. Caps of this kind were associated in the ancient world with the kingdom of Phrygia, in what is modern-day Turkey, and later became a symbol of liberty. The sculpture is made of bronze, an alloy of copper and tin, and is black with a greenish undertone. The smooth surfaces of the cheeks, arms and legs have a soft gleam, while a pale green coating, almost moss-like, lies in the folds of the drapery. The Rochester lar is probably a unique piece, made by the lost wax method. This ancient technique, still used today, has several stages. In the direct method, the sculptor models a figure in wax and encases it in a shell of clay or plaster, leaving channels for the wax to escape. The mould is heated, and the wax melts out and is thus lost. Molten bronze is then poured into the mould. After it has cooled, the mould is broken open. The missing left foot may have occurred because the wax failed to run out as planned from that part of the mould. Lares were central to the ritual of Roman life. They were given offerings, including incense and any food that fell to the floor. They were placed at the table during meals. They were witnesses to important family events such as weddings, births, and the return of a family member after a long absence. Yet this small figure, stepping forward merrily as if in dance, has sadly lost the objects he once held, and as such remains something of a mystery.